Hi everyone, just a quick video to catch up on the old theory side of things. So we were talking last week about how we can find the relative minor to a major chord, and I told you that it was the sixth note of the major scale. So if you're working in C, your C, your D, your E, your F, your G, your A. So using my theory, then A minor becomes the relative minor of C major. Okay, so taking the notes from the major scale, turning them into chords. So when I say C, I'm thinking of C, the note, but I'm turning it into a chord C major. And then I'm going to use the 1-4-5 thing, which was C, F and G. We said we find those in lots of songs. And then quite often we'll find the sixth note, the relative minor, played as a minor, will be the next note in the next chord in the scale. So for C, the relative minor is A minor. So if you do the same with D, you'll find that the relative minor for D is a B minor. Okay, so I asked you then to find the relative minors for G major, A major, E major and F major. Now the relative minor for a G major, and you can do this all on the neck of your ukulele by just moving your fingers 4 frets apart. This will be your major with your little finger, and this would be the relative minor. So you're going to go back up the neck 4 frets, okay, every time. So if we take the G, which is C, D, E, F, G here, and we go back 4, we find E, so that's E minor, and it's the same thing for every other minor scale. Okay, G has an E minor as its relative minor. If you went to A, which is up another 2 frets, and you came back, you'd find it was F sharp minor. So A has a relative minor, 6th note of its scale is F sharp minor. E, if you're playing in E, then your minor will be a C sharp minor. And if you're playing in F, you'll see a D minor. Now, when you're playing these songs and you start moving out of the 3-chord theory songs, so if you're playing a 3-chord theory song in C, you'll sometimes find they stick a minor in. So in C, that would probably go. Okay, so it's the relative minor. So now you can find those. Let's have a little recap on what we've done so far, and then we can move on a bit. So now we know the notes of the major scale. You've learnt those and you've worked out some major scales for yourself. We know that the notes at 1, 4 and 5, when played as chords, work well in what we're going to call the 3-chord theory. So they come as a little group. So the first note of the major scale is a major, the 4th note of the major scale is a major, the 5th note of the major scale is a major. Okay. We know the 6th note in the major scale is now called the relative minor and is played as a minor. So again, if we're using C, C, F, G, A minor. Okay, they go together. Same as if you were playing in F, you'd have F, B flat, C, F, B flat, C, D minor. Exactly the same thing, the 6th note. The 7th note in a scale is always a diminished chord, so we'll play that. We also know that the 2nd and 3rd notes, the only ones we haven't mentioned yet, they're also played as minors, but they're not a relative minor, they're just a minor chord within the scale. So try and get in your head the difference between the notes in the scale and chords played as the scale. So a note in the scale would be C, D, E, F. They're just notes. Okay, but if you play them as chords, and what is a chord? Well, a chord is just simply a group of notes played together. But there are rules to that, obviously. And this is where I'm sure we're going to get confused. But a chord is made up, a major chord is made up of the 1st, the 3rd note of the scale, and the 5th note. So our group together for playing as a group of notes into chords is 1-4-5. To make a chord is 1-3-5. So for example, if we look at the C chord and look at each string, what are we actually playing? We're playing a G, playing a C, playing an E and another C. just C on the octave. Okay, so that's how we make a C chord. 1, 3 and 5. You'll find it's C, E and G. Okay, if we look at the G chord, what are we playing there? Well, we're playing a low G. Then we're on the C string, we're playing another D, because that's what that is, a D there. Then this one here on the E string is actually E, F, G, so another G. So there's our octave on G. And the last note here, second fret, first string, well, if that's a C, that must be a B, because B and C are always next to each other. So the three chords, the three notes from the major scale that make the chord of G are G, B and D. For C, it's C, E and G. This is the first, the third and the fifth note from the major scale played together. That makes your chord, your major chord. 1, 3, 5. Okay, so now then, homework for this week, of course. Well, what I'd like you to do is, if you can, please find the notes from the major scale at 1, 3 and 5 for each of these chords: F major, D major, E major, A major. Now you will need to write out your F major scale, your D major scale, your E major scale and your A major scale, and then tell me the notes at 1, 3 and 5. You find them and play them together, and you'll of F, D, E and A. Okay? So that's this week's homework. Hope it's not getting too confusing. Next week I'm going to put something up about strumming. Okay? Because we'll be finished with the little makeup of scales and notes and chords just for a minute. We'll get on to something else. So I hope you're all well, and this video helps, and I'll speak to you all on Wednesday night. Okay, stay safe everybody. Bye-bye.